my question to them is, okay, I mean, that's fine if that's what you want, but you want more money. How are you going to get that more money? Right. And that's where you need to figure out, like, what makes you happy getting to that point of having more money.
And honestly, sometimes we don't need more money. We just need to evaluate the money we already have.
That's the truth. That is the truth.
Because if we're doing, there's more money if we're not going to Starbucks every day. There's more money.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Deep MCs, the podcast that seeks to push meaningful conversation to a whole new level. Whether it's for your entertainment or your personal growth, we appreciate you being here today. And now, on to the show. What's going on, man? What's going on?
We're back for another one.
Back for another one. Here we are. You're back in the fold. You were on hiatus by the time this comes out, right? So now you are back.
I'm back.
Back.
You know what, man? I felt cheated on, man.
Just a little bit, right?
Just a little bit. Ugh.
It's not quite the same. It's not quite the same. It's not quite right. But we do what we have to do here at Deep MCs.
Yeah, we want to make sure that there's some good content coming to you. And we don't want to miss it, man. We don't want to miss it.
At all. So what are we getting into today?
Man, so we are, you and I are dreamers, right? We come up with these wild ideas.
Crazy ideas. Even right now, there's some crazy ones on the table, right? Yes.
But like this one, they pay off. And so we're going to talk about chasing the dream today.
I like it.
Yeah, man. We're just going to put a little energy into that. And where it takes us, we'll go.
Motivate people.
Yeah, most definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
Chasing the dream. And then that's something that we all need to do. And I think that's something that a lot of us are scared to do, you know? But it's funny because it's really not that hard. You know, it's just kind of, I think the hardest part is breaking through the mental block.
Yeah.
You know, of what's there.
I think there's some things, man, that we create, like you said, we create these blocks, right?
Right.
And they can be from whatever has happened previously, right? Previous experiences, childhood, you know, current situation, finances, all of those kind of things. Definitely affect how you pursue the dream, right? How you chase it. But if you can quantify those things as something that's just part of the process and not stifling to the process, then I think we can jump the hurdle. We can jump one of those walls, is if we don't let that be the thing that the end all be all.
No, for sure. And it's difficult, I guess, for me, there's a lot of things that I don't know. I think maybe as you get older, you kind of become a little more reserved, you know, in the situations. And I've noticed it in myself, and it kind of pisses me off a little bit because
why?
Well, you know, because the whole point of life is to live it.
Yeah.
And to go after your goals and go after your dreams and be able to do the things you want to do. And as a younger kid, you know, it was nothing for me to just pack up the car.
Yeah, right,
you know, I'm like, all right, well, here we go.
Yeah.
You know, this is what my dream is. This is what I'm going to do. And then as you get older, you're like, well.
I mean, but you start laying on these responsibilities, man. Does life starts happening, right?
I mean, it does, but it shouldn't change. It shouldn't change.
But the things change from when you were 19, 20. That's a completely different mindset. There's different experiences. There's a whole lot of different things now and even your desires are different.
Yeah, they are, you know, but then the thing is, like, right, you see children or you see kids, and people are always like, man, they're so carefree. I wish I could be that. Right. You can.
Yeah. We create this fear. Like, I remember telling this story, man. My son, when he was a toddler, right, would jump, you know, when I would hold him, he would just like jump. like, dude, calm down. Like, he was just buck, man, and he was just like, there was sometimes I almost dropped him because I didn't expect him to, you know.
Right.
He had no fear
Yeah.
Right. He knew that he was secure. Right. And because he knew that he had been held at least a couple times while I was doing this. So this is fine for me. And boom, he would just go for it. And I think over time, we do lose that kind of free fall. I'm just going to do it, you know. And if I fall, then I'll learn from that. But
yeah. You know, I wish, and I'm trying to find ways to rekindle that right now, you know, and just figure out, you know, how can I get back to being more I'm not even just more daring, but just committing to those things that you know you say you're gonna do, you know, that you say you're going to I want this is what I want, this is what I'm gonna go to. And I think a lot of times we end up putting ourselves in a position where not only are we blocking ourselves, but we're limiting our overall, I guess, in goal success, whatever that success may be. You know,
right?
Just because we have all of these things that are there. And I think a lot of times though too is it's a support thing, right? Like you said, the go-to is either in feeling supported, right? Or it's having no fear because you haven't ran into that circumstance yet, you know, whatever it is. And I think a lot of us, and what hinders a lot of us, is the lack of support, right?
I think, man, you said two things in there: support and limits, right?
Right.
I think one of the things, we create limits that necessarily aren't there sometimes, but we're out of our own fear or depravity. I think we create these limits so it doesn't look like I'm not doing anything, right?
Right.
So that I can't be held accountable for it. This thing are in my way, and so that's why I'm just gonna go back to the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
But then the other thing, man, is when we talk about feeling supported, this is an evidence of feeling supported, I think, because you and I, even in the beginning of our initial talks, which wasn't about any of this stuff. It was just about our own personal dreams and goals and desires, right? And we helped each other out as individuals. Right. But then when we started having a conversation that came together and said, okay, let's do this together, now we're here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the support of it, and you and I have had these goals that were doing this for years, right? Yeah. But now here we are together, right? And that comes from that support, that drive, that push, that accountability, you know, that says, hey, what's next? What are we doing tomorrow? When are we meeting? What are we doing? And holding that down, I think is vital.
No, I mean, it is. And just to keep that support going, and support breeds support, which is kind of the cool thing about it, you know, and we support each other through it. This came from it, and then it opens up a whole new avenue of other people, right, that come into it. I mean, hell, you know, we interact with Benji now, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, also, you know, shout out Skip the Noise podcast.
Skip the Noise
podcast, right? Super supportive,
yeah.
You know, and when you start having those people that are piling on and adding on to it, it only makes you want to go, you know, even further.
You see that it works, man.
It does.
It gives you evidence, right? So the fear and the doubts and all of those kind of things that you come to the table with, they begin to subside, right? And the scale begins to tip, because now, you know, it's not as hard as I thought it was.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, right, is it's everybody always views it as being super difficult. And I mean, now there are going to be snags and hangups, right? Of course. You know, there's no such thing as that overnight success. You know, usually people that say, oh, it's overnight success, well, no, they've been working on it for a while.
Yeah,
you just didn't see it. Yeah, you just didn't see it.
It's been a lot of overnights,
a whole lot of overnights before they got to where they need to be, you know. And people have to understand that that's going to be part of the process too. I think that stops people from continuing to pursue, is that they get to a point where they're like, well, this isn't working out, so let me stop, let me just not try it, or whatever. Like, no, like, you have to get there and you have to push past. And I mean, there's going to be roadblocks, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think that chasing the dreams is where your happiness resides. Like your happiness resides in that, right? I mean, everybody wants to be productive. Everybody wants to feel accomplished. Everybody wants to feel fulfilled, but they want to do something that means something to them, right? And the mass majority of people right now, they're just punching the clock because it pays the bills, but they're not fulfilled.
Yeah.
And there's always something else like, oh, I wish I could have, or
right.
I want to do,
right.
you know, whatever. And there's nothing stopping them from doing that. Like, yeah, you may be on a time constraint. Well, then that may mean, you know, you can't do it every day, but you can start doing it once a week.
You can start it,
you can start doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, little
you can
by
put
little.
$100 towards it. You might not have the 5,000 that you need,
right?
But put 100 towards it, right?
Just a little
just
bit,
to start,
something
right?
to get you motivated and the ball rolling.
Right.
And I think that is the hardest part of the process, but also just sustainability, right? I mean, you have to chase your dreams, but you have to make it palatable to you and not a stressor. Some people, you know, they say, oh, well, I'm gonna chase my dreams, I'm gonna give up everything, and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this, whatever it is. Okay, well, make sure you're in a position to do that first before you.
So, okay, all right. Let me play the advocate.
The
other side of that, because we just talked about the roadblocks, and we just talked about the fears, and we just talked about all of those kind of things. And you, sir, talked about how when you were younger, it was nothing for you to pack up a bag and go to freaking Hawaii and then leave Hawaii and go to Florida.
Trash can of the U.S.
Stop it, man.
I have to put that out there every time.
You're going to have people from Florida. Hey, we love you, Florida.
Some of us, 50% of us love Florida.
Man, so we just said that, right?
Yes.
And then now the adult kicks in.
Yes.
And says, hey, you know, let's.
All right.
So help me.
Let me clarify.
Let me
clarify
Shepherd.
then. Let me clarify. So, yes and no. So for as a younger person, I guess that's what I mean though too, right? Is as a younger person, you're more malleable. You can afford to not eat for a lot longer. You can afford to work two and a half jobs, you know, and do these things.
Yeah, my dad said you had that piss and vinegar. Yeah, I mean, it's just fire.
So you can afford to do that, and you're better. And that's what I mean. Like as an adult, I'm not saying don't pack up whatever can fit in your car and hit the road, but you know, just make sure that you're prepared, as in mental and physical.
You gotta use some wisdom.
You're gonna know. Just know there's gonna be some times where you're probably sleeping in your car,
and you're gonna regret ever walking away. Yeah, I get it.
And you have to be ready to do that. And so, if you don't do it, you never know what's gonna happen and what's gonna come of it. And what I try when I have these conversations, and I think I've told you this story before. I may have. I don't know. But it has to do with acting and Hawaii. Okay. Right? So this is a prime goal of chasing your dreams. And God, dog it, man. This is what I'm upset now, because we always do this. We always tell these stories and then we can never remember people's names. I'm going to say Cynthia. I feel like her name was Cynthia. Okay. I don't know. But anyway, so living in Hawaii, 18 years old. I just turned 18. At the time, I was hadn't started working in the restaurant yet. The restaurant was still in its opening construction, whatever phase, whatever. But in the meantime, I was working.
Sorry, can you cook Hawaiian food?
I mean, I could do a little bit.
That's a no. Okay, go back to your story.
I could do a little bit. I mean, if you want to put a pig in a pit, I got you. I know all about the Kahlua pig. I can do that. Some of the other stuff, not so much.
You've been sitting on it, man.
Okay. But no, you're good. That's a good question, man. I'm kind of hungry now, but I was working 2.5 jobs, right? So you gotta do what you gotta do to make it work. So I worked at McDonald's in the morning from 5 to like 1:30 to 2, depending. And then I would get off at 2, and I would go home because it wasn't too far from my apartment. I would shower and I would change, and then I would walk 1.5 miles to Safeway, and I'd work Safeway at night as a cashier. And then on my off days, I would work with the plumber, which we talked about in the previous podcast. Off days or whenever I just have free time, whatever. Neither here nor there. I'm just trying to give people the layout that if you want it, you can do it. It's going to suck, but you can do it. But working at Hawaii and at McDonald's, one morning I was working there, this lady would come in. I swear her name was Cynthia, but she came in one day and she was just frantic. And I hate to say this, and it makes me mad because I forget her name, because she's passed away. She had cancer. She passed away a couple years ago. So I'm sorry, but we'll get back to that. I'll have to make a correction at some point when we post this. But she came in one day and she was just frantic, like just frantic. And me, when we're customer service, we're gonna be like, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? Are you good? Are you whatever? And she's like, I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. And I'm like, about?
Right.
I mean, should I be asking? Like, I don't.
Right. Yeah. Do you want breakfast? Or what?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what's the holdup, right? And she's like, I've been working on this business for the longest time, and I just finally getting a break, and things are going good, and my person that I have just canceled on me. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so she ran a talent agency, Chameleon Talent Agency. I think it's called Chameleon. Yeah, it's called Chameleon. And she got a break to put like casting for a movie that was being filmed in Hawaii, in Hawaii, right? Okay. And a lot of movies are filmed in Hawaii, jungle scenes and all that other stuff. Right. They use Hawaii, right? So I did get to see a lot of cool movies filmed when I was over there. So I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry to hear that. And she's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And then she's like, wait, I got an idea. Would you mind going to this thing for me? And I was like, what thing? She's like, it's super easy. All you have to do is just show up. You're already like the right look. You're already the right, I was good. I was in shape. I had muscles, I was whatever. I had hair back then, believe it or not. She was like, you're already what we need. All you have to do is just show up, go to the casting call. It'll be fine. Everything will work out. I'll meet you there. Can you do this? And I was like, And at the time, what it was it was at 12:30, and I didn't get off until 2. And I was like, you know what? Sure. So she's like, all right, here's my card. She gave me her card. On the back of it, she wrote down the name of the studio, which at the time, a lot of people didn't realize because they were still up and coming. And the time frame that I was supposed to be there. And she's like, meet me here. And I was like, okay, no problem. She's like, thank you so much. You're saving me, whatever, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So I went to my boss at the time, right? Because I'm a young kid. I mean, I'm
at Mickey D's.
At Mickey D's. I'm trying to be responsible, I said, hey, this lady just came up. She wants me to go do this thing for like this casting for a movie. Like, I don't know, whatever. And my boss just read me my rights about, if you go there, I can't guarantee you're going to have your job and this and that. And why are you going to throw away a steady income, which, by the way, I was only making $7 an hour at the time.
But it was steady.
It was steady $7 an hour.
That's the trap, man.
Why are you going to do this and do that? And if you go to this thing, you're not going to have a job when you come back, and yada, yada. And I had no other source of income. I've expended all my money getting to Hawaii and setting things up. And I was just like, you have to make a decision of what it's going to be. And so I heard everything he said, and I stayed at the job and worked until 2:00, and I didn't see that lady come in anymore after that. And at the time I never really thought about the consequence. I just didn't show up, right? But I never thought about what did that mean for her, or for her business, or for whatever else. She's already stood up once, and now this other person stood her up again, and this was her big break. Long story short, come to find out that the studio was Revolution Studios, and they were filming a little movie called Tears of the Sun with Bruce Willis, and I would have had a speaking role in the movie had I shown up and been there, and I didn't do it, and I still have the business card to this day that I keep, that I pull out every now and then to motivate myself.
Okay, so what does, because this story sucks. Like my whole body language just kind of shrunk. Man.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. So what do you do with that card though?
I keep it. I look at it. Eventually I'll put it in a frame. It's a good motivation of, going with your gut and taking chances and not being afraid to step out there and take chances, because Tears of the Sun did very well.
Right.
It was a movie that did very well, and that could have been me. I watched that movie and I see the black character that's in the movie that I would have played. Yeah. And I was like, I was buffer than this guy. I was like, I had the right look, right? And that would have been me. And my whole life could have been
different.
Could have been completely different.
Yeah. Wow, man. That's, there's a lot of things in that though, bro. I mean, because honestly, the idea, because I said it when you were talking, the idea that the $7 an hour was enough to hold you into something that was almost had the opportunity to free you.
Yeah.
That $7 was just enough for you to make it day to day. But then
barely.
It barely, right? But the boss's response, that's why you got to have, I believe, people around you who are willing to push you past your own personal thoughts and limitations, because the boss's limitations then were yours.
Yes. Became mine.
They became yours.
Yes.
Right? Because had he been able to see something greater for himself, he might have said, you know what? Go. I still can't guarantee your job, but don't miss this opportunity.
Exactly. And I get so mad. We're getting off track here, but we're
still chasing the dream though.
Still chasing the dream. And I get so mad at this guy. And when I go back and I look at it from a hourly perspective, man, he was a fucking hater, man. Like, this guy was, and I'm gonna give you a description. So he was a very large man, and when I say large, I mean he was wider than he was tall. Okay. I'm not body shaming anybody, but this was the truth. He was probably about 5'11", just 6 feet wide. Stupid. And I'm being serious. Like, he was huge. Like, he would barely fit between the fryer and the burger build section, right? Yeah. And he drove a yellow Volkswagen Beetle, the newer body things at the time, that he swears he only got because his daughter had liked the car, even though his daughter lived in the mainland and he lived in Hawaii. And he wore a 49ers Super Bowl ring all the time, because when he was living in California one time, he had some unimportant job at the 49ers, but everybody gets a ring when you win, right? So that was like his claim to fame, and that's all he ever talked about, right? And
oh man,
I was just like, dude.
And we listened to those people.
And I regret it.
Regret it. Okay, we listen to those people.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing, man, is that we do this every day, right? we see these people who have this level of authority somewhat over us, right? And they're telling us of how great life is if you do these things. You know, you watch Coming to America, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
You know, and they're at the house, and Mr. McDowell is showing him around the house and saying, one day, you know, or what's that? His name, Louis? I forgot his name, but he was saying, I started as cleanup, and now I'm a fry cook, and I'm going to one day be da 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 da, and that's when the big money starts rolling in, you know. And we made no knock on people who are doing fast food, because I've done that too.
Yeah.
But we build our life thinking that moving up the, you know, the process to being the general manager, the night manager. Oh man,
is where it's at.
It's chasing the dream.
Is chasing the dream.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow. And we let those managers and those people convince us, because they need us, right? They need our skill. They need our drive. And they need you to stay till 2 o'clock.
Till 2 o'clock. Till 2. And the thing about it was, man, if I wasn't there, it wouldn't have made...
It would have kept moving.
It would have made no bit of difference.
And if you were working at McDonald's, you could have gone work at somewhere else, because it would have been the same skill set.
Yeah, it would have been the same thing, you know. But
you wouldn't have had to, because you would have been eating in the green room on the movie set.
On the movie set, hanging out with Bruce. I might have been in Die Hard 4, 5, whatever it was.
You've been the next Rock in this piece. Man.
You know, I could get paid to take steroids and get buff for movies, but instead.
You know what? You just twist everything. There's some every now and then there's just, you know, you're on a good trajectory, and then you just, you know,
that's what I like to do.
You have to tweak it.
I like to insert a little reality for the people that think that you can be damn near 50 and shredded out your mind and work 20 hours a day and still keep up that
and
type
still
of,
do it, huh?
There's a little influence of something.
There's some influence.
I mean, there is hard work and dedication, but it is also fueled by something other than steak.
Influence. There's always influence.
Right? But yeah, and but I tell that story, and I tell that to people that, you know, who are hesitant to step out there and kind of just make those changes in their life, or if they really, really want something but they're really unsure. You know, I tell them that story because you don't ever know what is on the other side of that door.
You're right.
You know,
and her desperation. Honestly, you had you seen her before?
I had
Never. Right. But her desperation was something that you cared, right? That talked about who you were as a person, right? Because you cared enough to ask, right? Like, what's going on? And the thing is, it just talks about, to me, how I believe nothing is by chance or by happenstance, right? Of course, we have a choice in all of it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But everything has its time and place and season in our lives and its purpose. And I don't believe any of it just happens by chance. Now, we can make some dumb moves. You know, we can make some silly decisions, which I don't know that yours was silly at that point. You still had a thought process about what else. I know. Yeah, we get it. So what's silly though is that if you hadn't, how are you living your life today based on that card?
I mean, I've definitely been, I find myself looking for the next big thing for me.
Okay.
I guess, right? So, I mean, you've known me long enough. Like, I've had a million big ideas, and I may only go 50% or 80% with, you know, half of those from that point, right?
And you have to count the cost.
Yeah, you know,
I got you.
And that, but that's the thing, though, is right. Is like I'm always steady looking, and my brain now never shuts down because I don't ever want to miss an opportunity again, if you will.
Yep.
And now, I mean, I am limited now by some things, right? Like some money is a big one, right? You can't afford to do this, that, or the other, go this, that, or whatever. But my mind is always constantly working, and even when I'm working on one thing, I'm still thinking about this other thing. Right. Because I always just want to just kind of be there or be a part of it or be able to speak to it, because you never know when, you know, Cynthia's gonna walk through the door.
When she's gonna come through the door again, and that's good, man.
Yeah,
that's good.
You know, and
it's crazy. I have a book of because you say that, and it reminds me of, yeah, I have this vision board. Yeah, I got that, right? And that vision board can be good and bad because you update it every year and you still hadn't done half of the things you put on there from last year or 5 years before, and you got it hung up and
Right.
Vision board without any work is just cutting out paper, right?
Yeah.
You just back in third grade doing
arts and crafts. Yeah.
So if you're not gonna put anything towards it, then just save the magazine. Okay, all right, that was my little rant. Now the thing about it is I do have this book, and it locks into what you just said. I always want to be ready. Like I have a book of ideas, and these ideas have a kind of a listing, well, not a listing, but at least some groundwork of how I understand it, how it's laid out.
Right.
You know, and so at any point, somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, do you have an idea for a restaurant?" Yes, I do.
As a matter of fact,
I do. Hey, and so it's the same thing. Cynthia hadn't shown up yet, but I'm just saying, if she ever does,
you can be ready.
Yes, I do. Right. And that's one of the things that it can be a positive and a negative thing, because you can allow that thing to be. Sometimes you can allow the dream can torment you. And I went through a season like that.
Right.
Where I felt like nothing was really working out. You know, I was trying all of these things. I was doing all of these things. I was putting my full self like into all of what I was seeing, but not seeing any fruit from it. Right. And I felt like the dream with an S.
Right. More than one.
Were tormenting me as opposed to driving me, you know, and I had to really kind of step back from it, you know, and make some sense out of it, because it you know, not seeing it come to pass was like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And that's the thing though too, and that's what I question, and I question some people on too, is, you know, what is the dream to them, right? Because like you said, like sometimes those things that wouldn't come to fruition would torment you or bother you or bring you down or whatever it is. But I think a lot of times, a lot of us, our dream really isn't our dream. Our dream is just a want in that point in time, right? And you don't really know what your overall end goal is supposed to be.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Right.
And so I guess I challenge people on really taking a good look and figuring out what it is that you really truly want. What is that really moves you, you know, and not just the fad dream or whatever.
Right.
Or, oh, everybody has one and it'd be awesome if I can have one too, or everybody's doing this, so I want to do it too, you know, and kind of rethink your goal and your life. And it's, you know, I talk to a lot of people now, you know, and their focus is very, I don't know, the gaze isn't very wide, right? Mm-hmm. You know, it's very simple, like, oh yeah, I want to be able to make money to live comfortably. You know, I want to be able to have enough money to take care of my family. Like, it usually generally boils down to I want to have money.
Yeah,
so
right. I need more money to do more things.
This, that, or the other.
Yeah.
And my question to them is, okay, I mean, that's fine if that's what you want, but you want more money how? How are you going to get that more money, right? And that's where you need to figure out, like, what makes you happy getting to that point of having more money. And
honestly, sometimes we don't need more money. We just need to evaluate the money we already have.
That's the truth. That is the truth.
Because if we're doing, there's more money if we're not going to Starbucks every day. There's more money if we're cooking at home and not eating out 3 or 4 times a week. There's more money.
That's a hard one.
There's more money though.
There's more money.
There's more money, right?
Yes.
There's more money if we really sit down and evaluate, you know, how we're living life. There's probably some more money already there. And if we took that and just put that to the side, now you're moving towards breaking this stronghold of not having enough of that.
Yes.
And then we can move on to something else, right? Because now if I can master that, then I can begin to move on. And one of the things, man, I think that really comes down to it. Like I said, I have this book of dreams, right? One of the things I had to come to grips with is that some of those are just lofty, great ideas and wants, like you said.
Right.
Which ones of these things tie into the purpose for which I was put on this earth? Because those are the things that are going, like you said earlier, going to bring happiness, going to bring joy, going to bring life's fulfillment.
Right.
Is when I lock into, yes, doing this thing that I'm dreaming about, but that also fulfills purpose. It's a two bird with one stone kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and so if I can identify purpose before I jump headfirst into this dream, then I think that's why things like this came together the way that they did. Is because there's a conversation that's going to feed purpose, and then out of that conversation, somebody's going to see. I'm telling you how my dream works. Somebody's going to see one of these shows, and then they're going to nationally syndicate us, and then we're going to be on Oprah, and then she's going to, you know, sell our books, and then we're going to be in her book club. I'm just telling you how silly my mind goes.
And then it just escalates
with one thing, right?
Yeah.
It just goes that way.
And I mean, that's really what it is. And you said something earlier too, which is kind of funny, right? It's need versus wants.
Yeah.
Which is huge. And I think about that. I think about that a lot, right? And it pertains to a lot of things. And the easiest way I can, I guess, explain it for me is I'm finding myself, I think I like to torture myself a little bit.
Okay.
Right? It's just a little bit. And really dig into that need versus want. And I tend to I get in these points where I just cut everything off. Yeah. Because I'm trying to find out what do I really need.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us, even though we don't realize, even subconsciously, we just work in a want fashion, a continuous want fashion. And I think about even now, like, you know, we're all about to embark on this exercise thing, right? That's coming up, whatever. Right. But I find myself like at night, if it's 9 o'clock or whatever, and I'm like, man, I'm hungry, and I come downstairs, right? And I open up the fridge, and then I stop and I think, do I need this or do I want this?
Gotcha.
And the majority of the time, it's like, I just want it.
Yeah.
And I end up shutting the fridge, and now I'm mad, and I had to go back up the stairs.
Frustrated with yourself.
With nothing, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you think we can project that into our daily lives a little bit more and decide, you know, are these needs or wants? I'm hungry. I want a 2,000 calorie cheeseburger and milkshake, but is that what I need?
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of times people think that, chasing the dream or making sacrifices for the greater good, I mean, they equate it to almost a punishment, right? You know, where, oh yeah, I want the cheeseburger and the milkshake, but if I go home and I make a chicken breast and a scoop of rice, like, ultimately when it's in my stomach, I'm full. Yeah. I'm not hungry anymore. Right. It's not as fun as
you didn't enjoy it though.
Didn't, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's what they equate it to, right? It's like,
it's enjoyment.
It's enjoyment, you know, and enjoyment.
We look for fulfillment in a lot of different ways, right? Right. And for me, you know, sometimes that's in food, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you feel like you can control.
Right.
Because you may not be able to, you may not feel like you have control over your job or the traffic or, you know, the kids in school, and you're looking at all of these and the freaking carpool line that you're sitting in for an hour.
Yeah.
I've become that parent, and I don't know what have y'all done before, but I need some help, because to leave my house an hour before I know my kid needs to be picked up and know that I'm just going to be sitting idling,
doing nothing,
scrolling through some ignorance on social media, and then get mad when my Wi-Fi acts up and I'm just sitting like, okay, okay, all right, sorry.
That's the truth though.
Sometimes you need something that you feel like you can control, right? And I think that, or enjoy. And I think that's what food has become for a lot of us, especially during COVID, is what, you know, with everything else that's going on, at least I can eat.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a Louisiana boy, so I mean,
you can eat, you can cook, you can DoorDash, you can do whatever
it is, right?
Whatever it is.
So it's like, you know, what are we going to, how do we shift that mindset where we don't pour ourselves into things that actually hurt us, but we're using that as our meter for joy.
Exactly. And that's where it gets difficult, right? And I don't know. I mean, a lot of it does, I guess, come down to that instant gratification.
Yeah.
Not really waiting to be fulfilled, just wanting to be fulfilled right now. And generally speaking, like that doesn't work out in anything. Anything, like say easy come, easy go, right? Anything that's worth having, you gotta put in a little bit of work, right?
Yeah.
And get to that. And I think that we all need to kind of reevaluate where we are, because chasing a dream is more than, and it's more than just needs versus wants for ourselves. There's also a lot of like being able to decipher other aspects of your life, the people that you have around you, are those all the right people that should be around you,
Yeah.
Your relationships that you have, I mean, and I hate to say that, even if it's, whether it's significant other or family or whatever else, I mean, not just because they're those people doesn't mean they're good people or your best in mind. And
because sometimes, man, I love my parents, but they're from a different era, right, where you needed to go to school, you needed to get your degree, they're on the backside of Jim Crow when it was just ridiculous, right? And were they saw segregation end and integration begin and all of those kind of things, right? So they have a different mindset than I do, right? And I've shared my cotton story with you guys about that. But in that, sometimes they have limitations that are to protect me from what they believe will hinder me, right, or hurt me, but at the end of the day, it's from a mindset that may not be mine at this point.
Exactly.
So I can let their influence, I can listen, or I can listen and still use wisdom and still operate in a different way, or I can listen and I can allow that situation or that idea to completely cause me to walk away from it completely. But I still have to make a concerted decision, even though they love me. I still have to make a decision for me, and then just deal with whatever the consequences are going to be from that.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there, and I think honestly that is and I hate, like, obviously I don't have a parental influence or a lot of influence because I hate people, but
no, he doesn't.
Yeah, no, I do.
Shepherd loves me. Just be clear.
I hate,
and he's cringing over there because I just said that, but it's fine.
I hate people, but at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, you said something that is very important, right? Because the loved ones that are around you do have a significant influence, and I think that does hinder a lot of people in chasing their dreams, right? Because at the end of the day, like, generally, if you have these wild ideas or you have these thoughts, you generally go to the people that you trust, right? With them to, I want to run this by you,
right?
And here you are, and you've put weeks or months or years of thought into this, and you say, this is what I want to do, and then they say, you're fucking stupid,
right?
And it may be the best idea in the world, and you just are gonna let it go because
I think we come to the table, like somebody comes to you with a grandiose idea or a grandiose thought, right, that is bigger than your limitations, then you can't see it,
right?
And that's why what you said is so important. We have to look at the people that we are around, right? And sometimes you have to know who you can take what to,
right? And
if that person isn't doing things on a larger scale, if you've looked at their life and you see that they hadn't taken chances and hadn't done, then that's your fault. For figuring that you're going to be able to trust them with something greater when their life hadn't proven that kind of fruit. So sometimes we set ourselves up for that. That's why we have to surround ourselves with somebody. We got to go with a Mark Zuckerberg. We got to have him in the group somewhere where he can look at something and see it, and then I can bring him this off the wall foolishness, and maybe he sees something different, right? I think you have to have those people who have done it on a large scale,
on a larger scale,
and who have thrown caution to the wind,
and said whatever. I probably wouldn't use Mark because Mark's a thief.
Not Mark, right? Yeah, because we don't want to steal it. Yeah, allegedly. But the idea,
but the idea
is that when you look at your phone, I'm sure you got the app on there, whether you use it or not, right?
Yeah,
it's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming like standard on stuff. And if your idea can be one of those things that now comes standard, you've made it.
Exactly.
But you have to be with somebody, I believe, or be around a group of people or a situation that allows you to dream like that, and then it'd be cultivated.
Right.
It'd be cultivated.
100%. You know, and that's I guess the challenge for us all is finding those people, and that's the hard thing though too, right? Because we are, busy, right? So
right.
our availability to go out and really put yourself in these situations.
That's just like the Starbucks money.
Yeah,
that's the same thing.
It's the same. It's the same thing.
You
right?
have some extra money and you have some extra time. We calculated time in a previous show, right?
Yes, we did.
In the hours of the day, right? We talked about those hours and what you do with those hours, and we can make excuses for a lot of those hours.
So we need to get up and get out and get moving, right? And trying to put our faces out there and take those chances and really breaking out of the day-to-day monotony.
That's you're right.
I can't
monotony. That's right.
My brain's misfiring.
Monogamy
today.
is another.
Monogamy. Monotony. The boring humdrum of the. You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. Neither here nor there. But break out of that and really change up the day. And that's the hard thing is how do you communicate with the people? How do you get people to challenge themselves just to go one step further or meet one new person or open yourself up to having that conversation about that dream with someone who's maybe a little more creative or maybe able to pull it together for you or whatever else, and understand that, that could lead you to somewhere else, and it may not lead anywhere, but at least it's a conversation, or it puts the idea out there that you are doing something. So if it may not work with that person may have a conversation
and they may
with someone
have a lead.
that leads somewhere else.
That says I hadn't done that, but I just had a conversation with this other person.
Yes,
and they gave me their card, and here, maybe you can talk to them.
Exactly.
And I think it opens doors. It's just a different. If we're only connecting with our same circle, then we're only going to connect with our same circle.
It's never going to grow. It's never going to expand. And that dream, the dream lies outside that circle, because if it was in that circle, you'd already be living.
It would already be there, right?
You'd already be living.
They would already pushed you there. They would have already, their resources would have already been in it. All of those kind of things, right?
Yeah. So I guess, man, that's the challenge, right? Find someone. Don't accost them, right? But
so, man, I was just sitting here thinking, right? And we're coming close to on this one, but I was sitting here thinking, and I had to share it because I felt like it's important, right? I'm sitting here and we're talking about time, right? And we're talking about dreams and we're talking about goals, and I hadn't been able to sleep a lot in the last probably year. Right. And so I find myself going to bed probably 1 or 2 a.m. still waking up at 5:45. Like I feel refreshed. I feel it's not like I'm groggy through the day or anything like that. It's just that I'm not sleeping a lot. The time that I've watched so many like Netflix series, and in that time, like I'm sitting here because I just finished Naked and Afraid XL. Okay. Yeah. And I'm looking at it, and right now in my mind, Aaron, those people did what they wanted to do. Like I'm watching their dream unfold. It's because they did the 21-day challenge. Now these are people who are veterans now doing the 60-day challenge.
The 60-day, yeah.
And they completed the 21, and I'm watching them now complete the 60. And they're saying, I just wanted to do it. I just wanted to do it. That's why I came back. That's why I'm da. And they're losing weight. And they're doing this. And they're getting all of these hypothermia.
Miserable. Bug bites.
And they were in Louisiana, so I was really into it. They were in the Chafalaya Basin.
Oh, yeah. Was that the three white guys, right?
It was like 7 of them. It was 13 of them they started.
One of them hunted a hog or something like that. And yeah.
So you saw one of the shows?
Yeah,
see?
I did.
So I'm Discovery Plusing it down, looking at the whole series.
Yeah.
And my wife is getting up like, what are you doing? I'm just watching. Leave me alone. Go back to sleep. So I said all of that to say, I'm watching people do what they were dreaming.
Right.
And I'm using the time that I'm up to watch them
live their dream.
What could I be doing in those hours since I'm up anyway, focusing on my dream? So that, yeah. And I don't have an answer for it because I just asked my own question.
Just ask your own question.
Just ask my own question.
So there we go. What are we doing with our time? What are we doing with our time? And can we use our time better?
Yeah.
To help ourselves rather than watch everybody else live the dream that we want to have.
I don't have to be on Naked and Afraid, but they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're living it, right?
Living it.
One guy, he finished, went home, they did a recap on him. He was like, I'm ready for the next 60 days. Right. You clown.
That, and he's getting that good internet money
of
now.
Course.
I'd be ready to.
Exactly.
Ready to. Well, use our time wisely, I guess, is the moral of this story.
And time and resource, whatever those resources are, I think, because we talked about money, right? Figuring that out. We talked about time.
Yes.
And then we also talked about the resources of your circle. The people around you. How do they become better resources for you in pushing your dream?
Exactly. Let's leave it right there, man. I like it. Get on out of here.
Peace.
Yeah. I'm ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it. I'm ready to do it. I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now.